Ohio State secondary, they seem to have had a real nice year. What is the challenge ahead of for your wide receivers?
Those guys are just real athletic, good size, athletic, fast. They have all the attributes that you want in a good cornerback, good secondary. Individually, well coached, play hard. They got it all.
Is there a comparable secondary you guys have faced this year that I guess other than your own guys?
Well, I'm not sure. We gotta wait till we get to the game. But on film, they look really good. The corners, they're all playing in unison. They're athletic, good technique, play hard. Like I said, good size, fast. They got all the characteristics.
Did you see a difference in the way Wisconsin defended you guys with Westerkamp back in the lineup?
Not really. They played the coverage that we thought they would play. They didn't press as much as we thought they might, but other than that, it was pretty consistent.
I have a recruiting question. So Riley was talking about on Monday having a recruit, against Ohio State and recruit at that level to win consistently. As a person who's recruited against Ohio State and is from the state of Ohio originally, what is that? How hard is it to recruit against that program, and kind of what message do you send players? Because I know you've recruited players that have also been recruited by that school. So, what's the challenge in recruiting against the Buckeyes, and how do you sell this program versus that one?
Well, I don't. My philosophy of recruiting is not versus any school. I just try to sell Nebraska strong points. I don't bring up any other schools in terms of comparing them to Nebraska. I just try to sell Nebraska strong points, the wide receiver strong points, and then hopefully, the young man, believes it's a fit for him, and you go from there.
You're from there, right?
I was born there, yeah.
Okay. So, when in your recollection, was it sort of like this giant program in that state when you were growing up?
No, because I moved away from there when I was 2, and so I've never actually lived there as it passed 2, and so I don't remember anything. But I still have family there, and I'm just like we all are, we're a college football fan and historian. So Ohio State's always been a great university with great history. So I'm aware of it.
What did you see from Stan stepping up? He had some big catches down the stretch. You guys kind of make that comeback.
Yeah, Stanza Hannah. Stan's always ready. When his number's called. He's growing up. He was a freshman last year, and he's taking the steps that you would think a great player would. At his age, at his year, his experience, he should look like this. He works hard enough to where when the games come, he should look like this.
If Seaton's able to play, what does that do? Maybe just taking some of the pressure off your guys on the edge?
Well, it takes pressure off, and it helps us as an offense because Seaton's a great player. So if he's able to play, it'll be good for the offense in general.
We've heard a lot of people talk to us about Stanley, about how tough he is and mature. Is that something that you kind of knew even when you were recruiting him back when you were at Tulane? Like you knew that this kid had all of those components?
Yes, he was. His demeanor and his personality and his approach to football now is exactly the way it was in high school. He was that way in high school. He was different in high school, similar to the way he is now. So I assumed that this would be the case with him.
Do you have a sense of where that came from? Like where you think he got that sort of just maturity?
You're born with that soul and and that mindset and that natural approach to things. But he was raised. His mother, was raised him in that way. He went to a high school that demanded attention to detail and a strong mental approach towards football. St. Aug in New Orleans is a school that that's known for that. Traditionally, guys that have gone to that school, they come out with that mindset, and so he's got a lot of characteristics and aspects to reason he's that way. But I believe he's born that way.
How rare is that to find? We recruit receivers all the time, just players in general.
It's really rare, and like I said, I don't think it's a football thing. I think it's a personal thing with him. I think if he was, if he played badminton, he'd be out there slamming the birdie down really hard and breaking rackets. I just think it's him, and he just happens to play football, so it really fits.
Do you really think he had a shot at that last ball? I mean, how do you frame that play at Wisconsin?
He had a shot. I bet if he had to bring that play back, he'd probably make that play. He did have a shot at it. It was tough. It would have been a tough grab, but it's one that he would make. He can make.
Really? Like, what could he have done differently on that play?
he might have been able to attack it a little bit if he kind of sensed that safety coming. I don't know. Only he knows that if you can't judge another person's awareness in terms of what he's aware of, what he thinks may happen. But looking back at it on film, as you see it in retrospect, he could have stopped and maybe adjusted a little more. But it's a tough grab either way. I'm not blaming him. He knows that. We've talked about it. But I know what he expects from himself, and he would love another crack at it.
How much of your guys is looking forward to going in the horseshoe and getting a shot at kind of a heavyweight this week?
They're looking forward to it. It's the next game. It's going to be a great game. It's going to help us maybe continue on. Try to get back in the win column. So they're anticipating it in general because it's our next game, and we're trying to get a win.
You gonna say hi to your buddy Zach Smith?
I've never met him.
that get all resolved.
It was never a problem. It was never a problem.